And this seems like as good a place as any to talk about roots, so like square roots or cube roots. Alright, so if we've got the square root of 4, for example, and we could write the little 2 in there, so that's the same as saying square root of 4, so that's what this line means. So that means that if this is equal to x, so that means that x times x, so 2 lots of x multiplied together, is equal to 4. So in this case, 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So the square root of 4 is 2. And I hope you know all about this already, otherwise go and look it up. And similarly, the cube root is written like that. So here we've got to find a number that multiplies by itself 3 times to make 8. So y cubed equals 8, so that's where the cube comes from, 3. And again, 2 is the answer, because 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. So square root of 8 is 2. Sorry, the cube root. Silly me. Cube root of 8 is 2. And we can carry on with 4th roots, 5th roots, etc. And it's the same principle. But I think we'll probably only be having to deal with square roots and cube roots. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of rules for manipulating them. Let's have 3 columns. So first rule is that if you've got a times b in a root, then that means that's the same as let's just say square roots. That's the square root of a times the square root of b. So you can separate these out. So let's have an example. So let's say we've got the square root of 36. So that's 6. You could put that into your calculator and get the answer. But also, we could do it in this way. We could say, so the square root of 36 is the same as the square root of 9 times 4. So I've just factored out the 36 to make it 9 times 4. And then that's the same as square root of 9 times the square root of 4. And the square root of 9, yeah, and again, each of these we could factor it out. So that's 3 times 3 times square root of 2 times 2. So 3 times 3, so the square root of 9 is 3. Same here, 2 times 2 inside, so the square root of 4 is 2. So that whole thing is 6, which is the same as we got up here. And I've got another example here with a fraction in it. That's fine too. So the square root of 9 over 16. Oh gosh, sorry. I want to put that in the next column. Alright, so there's an example to prove to you what I think makes fairly good sense really, which is that if you've got the square root or the cube root of a times b, then that's the same as saying the square root of a times the square root of b. Okay, so now we've got the next rule, which is that if you've got the square root of a fraction, that's the same as the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator. So you can separate the fraction to have 2 separate roots. So this is where we get our 9 over 16 example. So that's square root of 9 over 16. So that's equal to the square root of 3/4 times 3/4, because 9 is 3 times 3, 16 is 4 times 4. So that means that it's equal to 3/4. But similarly, we could do it, separate them out. So 9/16 is equal to the square root of 9 over the square root of 16. So that is square root of 3 times 3 over the square root of 4 times 4. So here again, it's 3 over 4. So we end up with the same answer. So there's just an example to show you that this rule is correct. And finally, there's a rule that if we have number a to the power 1 over q, and that's the same as saying that is the q root of a. So for example, if we've got a to the power 1/2, then that's equal to the square root of a. So let me show you a couple of examples. I'm not going to really prove it to you. Let's just go through a couple of examples. So if we've got 4 to the power 1/2, and that's the same as the square root of 4. Yeah, just believe me on this, I think. And so that's the square root of 2 times 2. So if we don't write the 2 here, if you just see this symbol without a number, then assume that it's a square root 2. And just the same, if you see here we've got 27 to the power 1 over 3, then that's equal to the cube root of 27, which is, we could say 3 times 3 times 3, so equal to 3. So here are just a reminder about what square roots, cube roots are, and a couple of rules to remember about them. And this is going to come in useful later on.